You know, the first thing that you recognize as a statewide candidate is just how big the state of North Carolina really is. It's a really big state, 100 counties. I don't know who came up with that number, but 100 counties is a lot of counties, and I've been to all of them many times. And if you live in the city, it's easy to forget that 85% of the state of North Carolina is actually rural. So when you travel east of I-95 or west of Hickory, a common theme is people will say to you, hey, don't forget about us out here. And that really does make sense because things seem to get insulated in Raleigh oftentimes. But I want to make sure that you all know that this message today is for the people of rural North Carolina. There's a great song by Ronnie Dunn of the band Brooks and Dunn. And that song is called Cost of Living. And it's about a man who lost his job and he really needs a job. The challenge is that he is from rural America. In his town, the factory shut down. And everybody lost their job. And everybody is looking for a job. And often the same job. A lot of people in our state can relate to this even today. This is real. This is real in North Carolina. So let me read a verse of that song to you. Everything to know about me is written on this page. A number you can reach me, my social and my age. Yes, I've served in the Army. It's where I learned to shoot. 18 months in the desert, pouring sand out of my boots. No, I've never been convicted of a crime. I could start this job at any time. I got a strong back, steel toes. I rarely call in sick. A good truck. What I don't know, I catch on real quick. I work weekends if I have to, nights and holidays. Give me 40 and then some, whatever it takes. You know, if I was going to give a title to this speech, that would be it, whatever it takes. Because I really think that that's what we need to do in North Carolina when it comes to our rural communities. There are towns all over North Carolina that thrived when furniture and textiles were king. And many of you remember the days. You know, you could get out of high school and you could go get a job working at the mill, and if you had a strong back and a good work ethic, you could make a good life. An honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And whole communities at that time often revolved around the mill. Entire communities revolved around the mill. You'd have moms and dads and kids and, you know, families, entire families that worked at the mill. And sometimes they even worked on the same shift. And that was a normal way of life. And it was a good life. But because of short-sighted, often one-sided trade deals, that day is gone. And it's really not coming back. At least it's not coming back the same way it left. And the problem is that many of our small towns in North Carolina today are just trying to survive. Jobs are still disappearing, and the young people are still leaving, and they're not coming back either. Rural North Carolina needs a revival. More importantly, the people of rural North Carolina need a revival. But before we can really focus on the problem and fix the problem, the world needs to know a little bit about rural North Carolina and what the people of rural North Carolina are like and what they think. Because the people of rural North Carolina overwhelmingly believe in a common worldview, one that is about loving their neighbor and loving the Lord and loving the towns that they grow up in. They don't try to keep up with the Joneses because they're really just trying to make ends meet. They pay off their mortgages and they don't take on debt. They go to church, and not just on Sundays. They believe in the rule of law, and they believe in self-sufficiency, and they support our law enforcement and our military. They stand before the flag and they kneel before God because the vast majority of them have family members that fought in one war or another and died for the very freedoms that we all take for granted every single day. You know, if you lived in one of those towns in rural America or rural North Carolina, and the company employed the entire town, and you all shopped at the company store, and you read the company newspaper, and you went on vacation with the people that you worked with. And the company newspaper is how you kept in touch with birthdays and deaths and what was going on in the town every single day. And when one day you wake up and that company is up and closed, entire way of life closes with it. And that is really hard to get over. Sometimes you never get over it. You know, when Bob's Barber Shop becomes a vape shop or a tattoo parlor in the downtown neighborhood, or when that place that you bought your prom dress, it turns into a pawn shop, that's when all your civic pride and all the things that you believed in just turn to despair. And so we have towns that are still in that situation today in North Carolina. As good as our state is doing, as strong as our state is, as strong as our urban communities are, we still have rural communities that face that reality. And I believe it's time to place a new priority on rural North Carolina. A new slogan is just not good enough. It's not going to do it. It takes rolling up your sleeves and doing the hard work. We need a thoughtful plan for our state so we know where to focus our time and our resources. We need to set that plan in motion. And then we need to measure the results along the way to make sure that we're actually making progress. How many times do people make promises to rural North Carolina that they don't deliver on? And we know that that plan starts with the basics. It's true for the cities and it's true for our rural communities. And the basics are just good, solid infrastructure. We know that no company is going to locate to rural North Carolina if they don't have high-speed broadband today and they can't communicate with their clients. We know that there's no new manufacturing plant that's going to move to rural North Carolina if they don't have natural gas and high-speed broadband to run their company every day. We know that a company is not going to invest in a rural community if the basic infrastructure needs are not met for the employees and the families of the people that actually work in that factory. They're not going to come. We know that's the case. This is the basics for small towns, and it's the basics for big cities, and we need to get that right. But most importantly, the thing we need to focus on more than anything else, and the thing that rural North Carolina needs more than anything else, is jobs. To somebody that has lost their job in a place where the whole town has lost their job and everybody is hopeless and in despair, we need to focus on jobs. In North Carolina, we do have a bit of a blessing, a bit of a silver lining. Advanced manufacturing is coming back. Not the way it left, but it's coming back. Manufacturing is now 20% of the output in our state. New advanced manufacturing jobs are coming to the state, and they need to know that they have the workforce to support their needs. And so that's why we need a robust job training program. How many of you know that we have an apprenticeship program in North Carolina? How many of you know we have an apprenticeship program in North Carolina? See, that's part of the problem. We have an apprenticeship program, and nobody knows about it. We need to supercharge apprenticeships in America, but we need to supercharge apprenticeships right here at home. We need to make sure we're putting a new priority on training young people that are coming up through middle school and high school for the jobs that exist out there today and for the jobs that may be coming to their town. And then we need to retrain people who are sitting on the sidelines who just want a good job. And an apprenticeship is a good way to do that. People can earn a living while they're learning, and then they can go work for that company when it comes to town. Other states are doing this, and other states are doing it really well, and North Carolina is far behind. It'll be good for the rural communities where people are looking for jobs, and it'll be good for urban communities where jobs are looking for people. There's no magic wand, and there's no magic slogan. It's just rolling up your sleeves and doing the hard work. People want hope, but they need a job. I will do the hard work alongside our small towns to make them strong again. I will give them 40 and then some, whatever it takes.